We live in some absolutely crazy times. I mean, I don't even know where to begin. 2020, just to recap really quick, we've had wildfires in Australia. We've had the impeachment proceedings for President Trump. We've had coronavirus or COVID-19 or SARS-CoV-19, whatever you want to call it. And so we're in quarantine and nobody can get out and do anything. Now, murder hornets. Really? What's next? King Kong? Invasion of the troll people? I don't even know what to expect next, but I can tell you this, that with all of this stuff going on, it really just kind of feels like we are in jail. And yet God has still been very, very active in all of this. In the midst of all this, God can and does use these circumstances to accomplish some incredible things. These circumstances that we feel like are a prison sentence. And He can still do some pretty amazing things. You ever been involved in prison ministry? If you have any experience with something like that, you know that even in the midst of some pretty dark circumstances, God can do some pretty incredible things. Let me give you a couple of examples. In 1958, I think, Johnny Cash was doing a performance concert at the San Quentin State Prison in California, and there was a prisoner in the audience who had done a lot of things he shouldn't have done and ended up in jail, who listened to that concert and as a result made some life changes. That person was Merle Haggard. Or think about Chuck Colson. Chuck Colson was involved in Richard Nixon's Watergate scandal. He ended up in Alabama in 1974 in prison for about 9 months. And in there, his life changed for the better. And he ended up coming out of that and started one of the largest ministries to prisoners and their families that the United States has ever seen. Or think of the Apostle Paul. Paul spent a lot of time in a prison in Rome, where he ended up writing a lot of the letters, and in particular, the book of Philippians. That letter in Philippians, he wrote this: I want you to know, brothers, that what has happened to me has really served to advance the gospel, so that it has become known throughout the whole imperial guard and to all the rest that my imprisonment is for Christ. And most of the brothers, having become confident in the Lord by my imprisonment, are much more bold to speak the word without fear. Paul spent some time in jail, chained between 2 Roman guards. And while he was there, he literally had a captive audience. And that letter, he talked about the ability he had to share the message of Jesus, and so many people responded to that. Quarantine can feel a lot like a prison sentence. But even in the midst of being in a lockdown, not able to get out, not able to have church, not able to go places, God can, He still does, and He will continue to do many pretty amazing things. Let me make a suggestion to you, and I'm saying this to myself as much as I am to you. During this time, whatever time we have left that we have to stay in our shutdown, 6-foot social distancing regulations, however long that may continue to go, keep an eye open for what God is continuing to do. God is working. He will continue to work. And what I'm trying to do through this time is watch very carefully for those kind of opportunities that might not otherwise come if God weren't right in the middle of it. This kind of a situation results in the opportunity to do things that I haven't had a whole lot of opportunity to do, to take advantage of moments that I normally don't get to take advantage of, to have conversations with people that I normally don't have a chance to visit with. I spent more time visiting with my neighbors in the past few weeks than I ever have since we moved here. We've made a bigger focus on spending time together as a family in the evenings. We've had so many family dinners together. I'll tell you what, my wife prayed that God would give us the opportunity to spend more family dinners and meals together around our table. So maybe this is all her fault. God answered that prayer, and our family has grown as a result of it. I can tell you this, though. Paul never intended on being stuck in a Roman prison. But while he was there, he took the opportunity to see what God could be doing in his life, and as a result of that, he wrote one of the most poetic, most encouraging, most love and joy-filled letters in the entire New Testament, that book of Philippians. So let me ask you this. In this time of quarantine, in this time of staying away from everybody else and having some moments that you're by yourself, where it might feel like a jail sentence, what are you watching God to do? What might he be doing in your life that you can take advantage of, that you can grow from, that you can allow him to grow you exponentially far beyond anything you could possibly imagine? Let me give you a couple of examples. Take the opportunity to reach out to a neighbor. You may have to visit over the back fence and may have to keep it at 6 feet. That's okay. You have an opportunity like never before. My kids colored some pictures and gave them to the neighbor across the fence behind us. She posted on Facebook later that day that she had never experienced a neighborhood so full of love and joy than that. That was some crayons and some printed off coloring pages. Didn't take much. Take the time to send a card to somebody. Make a phone call. Send a text message. Whatever it is, allow God the opportunity to do something in you. But in order for you to catch it, church, you've got to pay attention. Keep your eyes open for what he's doing. Like I mentioned, Paul never intended on being in prison. And honestly, neither did I. But here we are. So keep an eye open for what God might be doing in you and through you and around you. And in the meantime, you might just be surprised. Hang in there, church, and we will see you soon. Hey, Warden, can I get a phone call? Hello? Hello? Beginning to wonder if you're going to let me out.